We learn together, we learn together, we learn together, we learn together.
Insight. We learn together with a wonderful teacher that I'm honored to call a colleague and friend.
Hey, my name is Kirill, I'm an English teacher and I'm from Odessa, Ukraine. Today I have 73 questions to answer, so stay tuned.
So I have lots of questions for Teacher Kirill, beginning with, hey, what time do you usually wake up in the morning?
Well, it depends. Usually I wake up at about 7:30 in the morning, but 2 times a week I have to wake up at 6:30.
What did you eat for breakfast?
I had some cheesecake and a cup of tea.
What's your favorite food and your least favorite food?
My favorite food is pasta with seafood. My least favorite food is boiled carrots.
While you're at it, talking about food, your favorite dessert.
My favorite dessert is chocolate cake.
What's your favorite color?
Pink? No, I'm just kidding. It's blue, gray, and black.
Your favorite day of the week?
My favorite day of the week is Friday because it's the end of the working week and you have 2 days ahead of you when you can relax.
And you're athletic, so what's your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is soccer.
Your favorite actor or actress?
What's his name? The guy who played in Venom. Tom Hardy. My favorite actress is probably Nicole Kidman.
Your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is The Last Samurai.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song is We Will Rock You by Queen.
Here's a question I like. What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure? Just playing around with my cat. Okay, video games.
What's your favorite invention?
My favorite invention is the bicycle.
And if you were an inventor, what would be your invention?
An ultimate toy for cats.
You like to drive, so what is your dream car?
My dream car is... oh, I have so many of those, but probably it's a BMW.
What's your favorite hobby?
Going to the gym.
Here's one I like. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
That's a good one. I want to have a lot of superpowers, but the best one would be probably invisibility.
Moving on to school. What was your favorite subject you liked the most in school? What was your least favorite subject?
English. Chemistry.
How did you learn English?
All through pain and tears.
Do you think English is important, and why?
It's important to learn because there are so many people out there who speak English. It enables you to travel the world and be able to understand what is happening around. And of course you get to watch movies in the original. That's fun.
What are your favorite or some of your favorite words in English?
Some of my favorite words in English. Okay, I guess I'm wearing them. English, nope. Do you speak it?
How did you overcome your shyness in English, if you had any?
Well, it was really difficult in the beginning, but I just kept practicing and I had no choice. I was in the United States and everybody around me was speaking English, and the only means of communication was just to start talking, and that's how I just kind of broke that barrier.
How did you increase your vocabulary words?
Reading, listening to audiobooks, watching TV shows, watching movies in the original, browsing the internet.
Here's a great question. What tips or suggestions would you do to have someone improve their English?
Get a decent English teacher, listen to audiobooks, watch everything in English, and of course, try to find someone who you could practice English with.
What book are you reading right now? What's your favorite book? The last book you read?
I'm reading The Count of Monte Cristo. My favorite book is Two Captains by Kirill. Last book I read was Genghis Khan, about the Great Mongol.
I think you need a vacation, so what's your favorite vacation spot?
It's the beach, obviously.
What country have you always wanted to visit?
I've always wanted to visit New Zealand. I hope I will one day.
Who is the one person that if you had the chance, you would want to meet?
The person I'd like to meet is David Beckham, because I looked up to him when I was a child, and it's always been my dream.
What person do you most admire?
My wife.
Now, you're successful in a lot of different ways, so what is your greatest achievement?
Rescuing this cat who's biting my fingers off right now.
What are you excited in life about right now?
I'm really looking forward to my winter holidays. I want to go someplace to the mountains and just go skiing.
Who was your favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher in school was my English teacher, of course. Hey, if you're watching me, thanks for everything you've taught me.
In your opinion, what makes a good teacher?
Intellect, sense of humor, and decency.
And you're a teacher, so how would you describe your approach to teaching?
Well, I teach people everything that I believe is helpful, and I have different approach to every student I have. And I think that there is some essential stuff that people have to learn first, and then they can build up on that and expand their knowledge.
Name 3 qualities you believe makes a good teacher.
Intellect, sense of humor, and good knowledge of English.
And speaking of being a good teacher, what frustrates you, if anything, about teaching?
Yeah, sometimes I get quite frustrated when my students don't do their homework and they keep making the same mistakes, and then they are really frustrated with themselves that they are still making the same mistakes.
How would you describe your teaching style?
When I'm teaching, I'm trying to make it challenging and quite interesting for my students.
If someone wants to be a teacher in the future, what advice would you give them?
If you want to be a teacher, learn English first, then be prepared to be really patient with your students and make sure that you're ready to constantly improve your knowledge and develop.
And how can a person learning English develop confidence?
There is no quick fix formula for that. Just keep talking, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and just make yourself speak as much as possible at any given opportunity. You develop confidence by just getting outside the box and just by speaking, by practicing, and by just doing something that is...
What impact, if any, does a positive mindset have on learning English?
Well, a huge impact actually. If you have a positive mindset, the English just comes directly into your head, and you learn when you're learning English, it's a must to be in a good mood. And when you're in a good mood, the learning is a lot of fun and it's really effective.
What suggestions would you offer to improve someone's speaking?
Try retelling. Read an article or a simple text and then try to retell it using your own words. I know that it might sound quite daunting at first, but then it's going to be easier for you, and you will just have to use the vocabulary you just read, use your own language, and reproduce the same material.
And how can a person overcome their shyness?
Also, there is no quick fix formula for that. There is no simple solution. If you want to overcome your fear of speaking, one of the strategies or one of the tips I can give you, go on a trip to a country where people don't speak your language. and you will be forced to communicate. And that's one of the ways to break that barrier.
How about improvements to reading?
If you want to improve reading, make sure you read out loud every single day. A little bit. You don't have to read for hours. 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day would do the trick.
Improvements to listening. Improvements to writing.
Listen to audiobooks. Listen to podcasts. Listen to the radio or watch TV in English. And that will improve your listening immensely. Well, before you prepare to retell something, to retell a text, to retell an article, write it down first. Or make sure that you keep a journal. Write down into this journal everything that you have done during the day.
How can movies help you improve your English?
You get natural intonations and natural pronunciation while watching movies. If you are watching movies and actors are from the UK, for example, and they speak with a British English pronunciation, that will help you to improve your British English pronunciation. When you're watching American movies, you will learn some American accents.
And here's a question I really like. What tips can you offer to improve spelling?
Read more, use the dictionary, and try to create these funny associations for the words.
All right, what are your 2 favorite idioms in English?
It's so hard to think of 2 right now because there are so many. Let's take a rain check. That's number 1. And let's hit the road.
Your 2 favorite slang words?
The first one is wasted, and the second one is sketchy.
Any abbreviations that you can relate to?
The UFO.
In your opinion, what's the best way to study for an IELTS or TOEFL exam?
The best way is to do as many practice tests as possible.
And what's the best way to learn grammar?
Just do the exercises, practice them, and make sure that you use the grammar in your daily conversations.
Do you think, or has grammar made some people afraid to learn English?
Learning English grammar can be quite challenging, but give yourself some time and you'll see that it's not that difficult. English grammar is just a bunch of structures that you have to memorize and learn how to use them, and that's it. You're stronger than it.
Why are so many English learners obsessed with sounding like an English native speaker?
Because some learners believe that if they sound differently, nobody will be able to understand them. I think that accent is really important, but at the same time you have to be fluent. So make sure that you've got the perfect combination of these 2.
How can a person improve their fluency and their pronunciation?
In order to improve your fluency, you have to speak constantly. You have to practice English all the time. And it doesn't have much to do with living in a foreign country or living in an English-speaking country even. It's just, you can improve your fluency just by living in your country of origin, but you must expose yourself to lots of English practice. If you want to improve your pronunciation, learn the phonemic chart, use tongue twisters, and repeat after the native speakers.
Here's a question. Can I only learn English from a native speaker?
Of course not. You can learn English from anyone who speaks English well and who is the right person for you.
How can social media assist a person with learning English?
Social media can help you find conversation partners. It can help you find lots of materials. It can help you improve your listening skills, pronunciation, everything. Social media is a great advantage, so make sure you use it.
Is there anything about social media that you don't like?
Yeah, a couple of things. Cyberbullying, for example, or that all people are so opinionated and they know what to do best.
Has social media made people or some people lazy to learn English?
Yeah, I think so. Social media is full of materials great for learning English. But when people are exposed to lots of free materials, that makes people lazy, unfortunately. So that's one of the drawbacks of social media.
Speaking of videos, you're famous for it. What type of video have you always wanted to make, but you haven't had time to do it yet?
I've always wanted to make a video about curse words in English, but I haven't gotten around to making it.
What does "we learn together" mean for you?
We learn together is a catchphrase by Teacher Will, which means that everybody is learning from everyone. Even if some people are native speakers, doesn't really mean that they cannot learn from people who speak other languages. If we learn together, it means that we share the knowledge. It means that we bathe in this knowledge, and it means that we can always benefit from one another.
How would you describe Teacher Will?
Teacher Will is creative, fun, genuine, and of course, extremely professional.
And the last question. Now that you've answered all of these questions, how do you feel?
Oh, finally it's over. Oops. Oops.